think this year, from my calculations, we're going to be about 80% direct book in just under 2 years, actually.
That's
So
insane. Hey, hey everyone, welcome back to this episode of Branded and Booked. I am so excited to be here with you guys today, and I am actually joined by someone who I very much admire in this space, who is also one of the Weber Co. clients, which has been so fun. But I have Debra Getz with me today, and she is going to share with you guys a little bit about how she's built a really prominent and powerful brand in a very saturated market, I would argue, the Blue Ridge, Georgia area. And she's also going to share with you some results that she's seen in working with influencers and bringing them to her cabin. So we're going to dive into it. But Debra, as we kick off, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, sounds fantastic. Thanks, Steph. So I'm Deborah Getz. My husband and I own together and manage directly Shiny Apple Cabins here in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We are the dog-friendliest Mountain View and Creekside cabins here in the area. And we have two cabins. One is the Bears Creek Retreat, which is Creekside, and the other one is Some Fun, which is Mountain View. They are both equally dog-friendly. We've created a brand where there is no pet fees, no service fees, no breed or size restrictions, no weight restrictions. And we don't even charge a service fee because of the way we do direct booking. And we provide tons of dog amenities to the point that we tell our guests, maybe you should check with us before you pack because you can pack light. And as we always say, your dogs will have a better stay than you.
Debra, I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about where your heart came from in bringing these? Because I was looking at a cabin recently in Broken Bow and it was like no pets allowed. And I'm just like, I mean, when we launched our own cabins in Kentucky, I was like, let's make some pet friendly and some not. But then everyone wanted to bring their dogs, and I was like, forget it. Like they're just everyone can bring them. So I just want to hear a little bit more from you about how you've made the decision to be so dog friendly and also how you've done that in a way that you're like, we don't charge pet fees, we provide all these amenities for pets. Like tell me a little bit more about your choices there.
Okay. So the origin of Shiny Apple Cabins and the reason why the cabins are dog friendly is because we have our own two poodles. And we were driving from Florida 10 and a half hours without to make them comfortable, feel safe, and just what they're familiar with. And that we felt like if we're away, what if this, what if that? So it was a lot of stuff. And we were up, back, up, back, up, back. And we started leaving stuff here or at the cabins, the two rentals. And it kind of started from there. We're like, well, if we're doing this, how many other people are doing this? How many families with dogs? Everybody. And we went from there and adding more and more as time went. We listened to guest feedback. We kind of experimented. We stayed overnight in our cabins a couple times, even though we now live in Blue Ridge, just 20 minutes from each cabin. So it evolved over time just by a little common sense, a little listening to guests, and a little of our own experience. But I will tell you one little secret. Um, we have two cabins I mentioned. One of them is quite custom, and it will probably be our home when we retire. So it's custom woodwork, I mean, everything from the doors to the baseboards to the furniture is custom, custom, custom. We did not allow dogs in that cabin to start. So we had one pet friendly, one not. And as time went, it was very hard when people started saying, we want the creek, not the mountain. We were having a tough time saying no. And to be honest, from a financial standpoint, it was easier to rent the one that's dog friendly.
Mhm.
And we decided, why are we discriminating against families with dogs? Because that's who we are. And we opened up the Bears Creek Retreat to pet families with dogs. And they are basically lockstep now in how they perform. And I'm very happy with being able to do that. It was hard not to do it. And so it's a relief to now just be like, here, come. To answer your second part of your question, no pet fee. So number one, to be competitive, right? And there's a lot of places that say they're pet friendly, and we always look at how can we be more competitive? I'm very competitive. So how can we do better? What are our competitors doing? What are other people in the market doing? And what are other people that we're friends with in other markets doing? And so that was number one. Number two is I learned my experience, it's been 5 years, is that with no pet fee, we are actually seeing better care given by our guests. I will say dog families tend to be more responsible in some ways, and no pet fee. And our cleaning fee didn't, it's evolved over time, but it's not increased to accommodate no pet fee. But I found if we don't have a pet fee, we have less issues. And in fact, it's very rare, maybe 2 times a year, we have something that we walk in, oh, what happened? And, but yes, it's been advantageous from a quality control standpoint and a maintenance standpoint for the cabins not to have a pet fee. And as I said, financially, economically, bookings wise, it opened a lot of more bookings to us to say that and follow it.
Yeah, yeah, which I love. And you guys, I mean, you do live that. You live and breathe your brand, which is what I love about you, Deborah. Did you guys increase your rates at all to help offset that? Or were you just like, no, like this, we just charge what we charge and this is what it is, and we want you to bring your dogs here?
We did not change any of our rates. We didn't increase the cleaning fee. Nothing, none of our rates or anything that's charged to guests was impacted by no pet fee.
Yeah. Wow.
That's not our, we don't consider that when we look at our pricing and our fees.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so it's just truly part of your brand. And I think honestly, what the reason I had a feeling that was your answer. And the reason I wanted to ask you is because I feel like so often as real estate investors, we get really caught up in the numbers and then we forget that we're building hospitality businesses. And what I think you've done a great job of, Deborah, is remembering you've built a hospitality business first. And yes, the numbers matter, but you have to make sure that you are keeping your guests in mind. And you guys have really created that experience.
Thank you. Yes, and that was the point. It's supposed to be worry-free, stress-free. And I mean, we travel with our dogs. We're going to Memphis tomorrow, and she's charging a pet fee. That's fine. But I looked at what she offers with all that, and she has a fenced yard too, but she's not offering all the bells and whistles that we offer in the amenities. And we felt like it was a better approach to lessen stress and also, honestly, to make the dogs more at ease. We figured out on a booking by booking basis how much out of pocket we are. And we are out of pocket every booking for our guests to accommodate a stress-free stay for the families and the dogs.
Mm.
So do we recoup that in the nightly rate? We don't raise the rate to recoup it, but if we happen to recoup it, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What are some of the things that you provide for your guests to make these the dog friendliest days? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like, and you don't have to give away your secrets by any means, but I am curious, like, are there any things that you're like, if you really do provide dog friendly stays, and here are maybe the three things that you should consider or think through?
Good point. Okay, so I would say a fenced yard is number
Mm,
one. It is the number one search for family with dogs. Do you have a fenced yard? And so, yes. And in fact, the Bears Creek Retreat was the second to get a fenced yard. And we did see an increase in bookings when we added that February 10th, which was my birthday. That was my birthday present a couple of years ago. So, number one, the fenced yard. I would say number two, honestly, is the pet fee. But as far as amenities go, we do all the little tiny things that you could think of, like poop bags, towels, blankets. We provide flat sheets for the beds if the guests want the dogs to sleep on the beds. And if they don't use the flat sheets, that's fine too. We provide even holistic treats from local partners that we have here, which is a nice touch when they arrive. And the humans have snacks too, but the dogs are treated equally, if not better, because they're holistic and the human snacks are Costco or Amazon. Um,
I love it.
I'm trying to think what else. And then we provide a basket with cleaning supplies. It's not a request or demand of the guests to clean, but like I said, a lot of families with dogs, we find them to be extremely responsible. So you don't need to bring your lint rollers. You don't need to bring enzyme sprays. We have vacuums. We have dust busters. All these extra things to help the guests to leave and feel like they've left the place in the condition they want to.
Yeah.
Prime example, I went into some fun yesterday after my cleaner to do some deep cleaning on my own. And I found some of the vacuums that the cleaner doesn't use just filled with white fur. Now the guests didn't empty them and that's fine, but I was so happy they did it because I'm like, these guests like actually took it seriously and they cleaned up after themselves. Does every guest do that? No, and that's fine. My other cabin, I was there about a day and a half doing deep cleaning and helping a cleaner because they had an Akita, I think, and it was like a fur explosion. And we had a great time because they were fluffing everywhere and we cleaned it all out, but it was a lot of fun because we were just like, they obviously had a good time. But they also, we found they didn't empty the trash bag and there was a huge water fur in there. So people take advantage of the supplies that we provide, and if they don't, I think we get comments on that stuff as well.
Yeah.
Um, did I name three? I think I named
Yeah,
three.
you totally did.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you have provided, you've thought through the experience of people traveling with their dogs. And that's like the biggest thing, right? And I think that's what we often forget is what is the experience like for the guest when they arrive to our property with their dogs. I mean, the same could be true for like when they arrive with their kids or whatever, but in this case, it's
Yes.
dogs. And so you've really thought through what is that experience and how can we make it easier? One of our hosted by the Weber's team members, she has a dog and she always is like covered in black hair because the dog sheds and is just, and it's everywhere. And she's like, I have a lint roller on me at all times. And so you saying that made me think, oh yeah, like that's part of her everyday life. It's not part of my everyday life, but
Right.
because we don't have dogs, but it is part of hers. So if she's traveling and the host provides the lint roller, that's something that she's going to go, wow, that was really thoughtful. Like they thought through the experience of how I was going to stay. And that's what you've done a really great job of.
Yes. And I want to add one more thing I just thought of. Crates. We provide 36-inch crates with canine ballistics mats, which are extremely expensive. They're about $100 per mat, but they're chew-proof, waterproof, and they actually guarantee if a dog chews it. I forget how long the guarantee is for, but we have found those to be extremely successful as well, to have kind of an elevated level of a mat for the dog, especially out here in the woodsy rustic area. We've got, these are rough and tumble mats, but they're orthopedic mats too. They're like this thick. And
Mm,
the guests have appreciated that it's not just a crate with a $13 Tractor Supply mat thrown in there, which is fine. You
yep.
know, it worked for many years, but the crates are another big one because they take up a lot of space to travel.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they definitely do. Do you, Deborah, have specific pet rules that you've put in place, or is it just like, here are the guidelines, be respectful, the end?
Yes. So we do have a sheet up in the cabin that asks guests, you know, can you pick up poop a couple times a day?
Yeah.
Can you do this and that? You know, but it's not a request, it's not a demand. It's more like these are the things that if you're like, I'm not sure what you expect of me, here's a checklist of things that if these are things you'd like to do, we'd be much appreciative of that, especially for our cleaner.
Yeah.
But there's no rules that we enforce. Even, you know, some guests will say, you know, we have a 4 dog max on one cabin, 3 on the other. And I've seen guests bring an extra dog and you know what? It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, there's nothing that we enforce against the guests. And even when there's damage, honestly, we don't, unless there's a urine issue, which has only happened twice in the 5 years, we may not even make a claim for any of the damage that
Yeah.
that may occur. And it's rare that we have dog damage, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it is because again, with this I think comes back to the brand that you've built. You've built this brand, you're marketing it in such a way that people understand what the expectations are and also like what they're being offered.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for. And so you're right, the people who you're attracting are typically those very respectful dog families. Like the dog is part of the family and they take
Yes.
care of that dog, you know, it like that's part of it. And so I think that because of the brand you've built and because of how you host underneath that brand, that's why you experience what you do. I know I've heard people share horror stories about, you know, having pets and this and that. And we've had our own couple of experiences, but to your point, most of the time we see people be very respectful who are bringing dogs. And if something does happen, we recently had somebody who their dog somehow got shut in the bathroom overnight at one
Ooh.
of our cabins and our chewed our wood board like all bad. It was bad. And she sent us a message and she was like, I'm so sorry. Please tell me how much it's going to be. And we were like, don't worry about it. Like it's going to cost us
Yes.
a little bit of money and labor to replace that one board, but it's okay. Like no big deal,
Right.
all good, you know? So yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. It all goes through the idea of what's the stress points.
yep,
I'll tell you exactly what we made claims on. One was a guest that had 4 dogs and didn't pick up in the yard, and we literally needed a shovel to clean the yard. We
bet
had
you
to
did.
shovel mulch, and we lost mulch and rock. So we made a claim and she didn't pay it, and that was fine. We just are aware. And we had another guest in winter that didn't want to take the dogs outside, so she let them use our basement, finished basement. And that was a repeat guest. And so we charged for the linens and the extra clean time. And again, she didn't pay it, but I also would not invite her back. Those are the two worst case experiences. And that's only been those two in 5 years.
Right.
So,
Out of the thousands of guests at this point that you've
yes.
hosted between the properties. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do I accept that? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Accepted. It is. Okay. Okay. I love this. So, you were part of my STR marketing boot camp program a couple of rounds ago, which was so fun to have you be a part of that and to watch also how you just are like so strong with the brand and I love it. And it's just like you embody the Weber Co spirit of your branding and I love it, Deborah. But one of the things that I loved about you, Deborah, inside of that program is that you came in and you had great questions and you took what you learned in there and you implemented. And you've done that in a very powerful way with your social media for Shiny
Mhm.
Apple Cabins and then also in working with influencers. I'd love for you to maybe just tell us a little bit about why direct bookings were important for you. Number one, why that was something that you were like, we've got to do this and we've got to figure it out. And number two, tell us a little bit about your big picture kind of marketing strategy that you're working on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for Shiny Apple Cabins.
Okay. So we ended up going with direct bookings because, so the other, as Steph knows, I'm an attorney. I'm a corporate attorney. So I'm a little bit of a type A personality, and I really wanted to have as much control over my bookings as possible. And I wanted to be able to show the brand. You know, you're limited with what you can do with the OTAs, like Airbnb and VRBO. So I really wanted to be able to put something out there to show people we're not just this kind of box of what you can show of your brand, which is very little, right, with the OTAs. And then I wanted the control, like I said, I wanted more control over my pricing, everything like that. And I wanted control over what happens if there is an issue, guest communications. And I also, with our direct bookings, that is the cheapest route for guests to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to actually give guests a less expensive way to book with us if they do direct bookings. And I will also say, just because, like I said, I'm an attorney from a legal perspective, I feel like I'm better covered booking on my own with my own rental agreement, with my insurance being my primary, and not having to battle it out, so to speak, potentially with the OTAs on claims and dealing with AI, as will have you do now, and even hospitable different things that happen. So I just like the control, and I think the guests are happier with the direct bookings as well because when the communications, yes, through Airbnb and all that, they're with us, but that's why we did that. Question, sorry.
Yeah, the
Why
second
direct
question.
booking?
Yep, you're totally fine. Yeah, the second question was kind of your big picture marketing strategy.
Ah,
What you're sort of
okay.
doing, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly.
Okay. So I will tell you, everybody listening, that Steph, I just told her before the call too, and I just had a consultation with somebody yesterday. Steph is my foundation, right? Everything I learned from her with the boot camp and the consultations, and I've engaged her for other work as well. She is my foundation. So Steph's like right here on my shoulder, like when I do stuff and I'm trying to figure out what to do. So our overall strategy initially was to create the logo, create the brand, get our taglines. We now have two federally registered trademarks. I've trademarked or registered my logo with the state of Georgia only. So we've done some protections for our intellectual property, and we have created all sorts of marketing pieces. We have rack cards, we have pins, stickers, lip balms in the cabins. There's all sorts of branding in the cabins with all sorts of different things. So we've done all that. That was kind of phase one, was to just get the brand out there, bring more awareness. I'm not the best, as Steph knows, with social media, although we will tell you in a second, I've been kicking some booty lately.
You sure have.
um, but so our overall focus was just like establish the brand, who are we serving, including dogs. When Steph gave me the branding guide that she uses in her class, it's for the humans, but I did a whole guest avatar for the dogs themselves too. So we really got into it on the dog perspective. And so then our goal was to be 10% direct book, which I think is kind of the standard. Your first year is try to hit 10%. And we've just been trying to push to be as much direct bookings to get away from the liabilities I see with booking with Airbnb and Vrbo. And I have to say, I think this year, from my calculations, we're going to be about 80% direct book in just under 2 years, actually.
That's
So
insane.
yeah, and I'll tell you, getting to your point, so what has gotten us there? Number one, like I said, we've just got the branding everywhere in the cabins. Our website is done. The email marketing that Steph helped me set up with StayFi. And we do some local events as well. So we'll go to different festivals and everything with our booth, with our everything branded. We do giveaways, a cabin giveaway, stay. And the biggest thing, though, I have to say, surprisingly, because I did not like Instagram, did not understand it, wanted nothing to do with it, but influencers. They
Yeah.
have really helped establish us on the social media side, and that has just blown us up in the bookings and the awareness. And I've been watching my phone on the side here, and I just keep seeing like you have 24 new followers, you have this, and I'll tell you too. The Do you want to get into influencers now? Because
Yeah,
I can
let's do
see.
it. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go all in.
All right. So Steph introduced me to, I knew what they were in general, and Steph introduced me to the concept and really kind of turned me on to it because I'm thinking, just me, Shiny Apple Cabins, and my husband, our account was like 125 followers on Instagram. We are now, I think we hit over 6,000 yesterday. And that is a increase from October. I think we had, I can look up the exact number for you, Steph. I think we were at like 400 or something, October 2025, and now we're over 6,000.
Wow.
That's all due to influencers and a little bit of me, which we'll
Hmm.
get to in a second. Um, but we took the basis of everything, or I did, my husband and I took the basis of everything we learned from Steph and the class and consultations with Steph after on an hourly basis to try to understand what are we looking for in influencers? What does it mean to have somebody stay? What should we be offering them? And then Steph was kind enough in the class to give a form of the collaboration agreement. And me being an attorney, I put my own touches on it quite heavily. But it's also been from day one when we started, like I'll tell you, the first time we had a content creator slash influencer come, because they are different. I see the difference now.
Hmm.
The gentleman showed up and he didn't bring his dog. I think Steph knows that. I was like, he brought his kids, but no dog. And I was just like, why? He was getting 2 free nights. Actually, one night at each cabin. I'm sorry. So it's 2 free nights. We paid the cleaning fee, but no dog. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do with this exactly. So that was a really rough start. And then we had a second influencer come, and again, really hard learning points on that. A third one, a fourth one. Everyone brings learning and adjustment to my contract, adjustment in the expectations when I interview them in a Zoom call before we even get to any details about what do I want to see. Just expectations are a huge conversation right from the get-go. But we did I think 5 influencers this year. One's coming back next weekend, and I have a different approach we're taking in October if you'd like. But what happened is as I learned everything, we tightened everything up. We became clearer in our needs and requirements and expectations with the influencers. And that really helped them understand their job because they are working when they're staying with you. And so the clarity that I got helped them be clearer. And what happened, as Steph knows, is my influencer who came a couple months ago, it was her first hosted stay, very lovely couple, and their dog was really cute. And they have a very special market. They have a bully breed market, right? For their dog's a pit bull. And I thought, let me see what happens, right? Because we have no breed restrictions. And she'd never done this before. She asked a lot of good questions. We had a lot of communications and conversations about what I wanted. We reviewed content together, captions together. And I can look in a second. Her first reel did pretty well, like not bad, but she got attention of people. Her second reel, as Steph knows, went viral. It's got almost 3 million views. and since June. And it hit 1 million, I think, within or upwards of that within just less than a week. So it just went nuts. And from there, we started seeing, I was getting emails left and right from potential guests. Other content creators and influencers started to learn about us, very interested in us. And I have a wait list now for 2027, and we're starting to review that for influencers and content creators to determine who we want to work with. So we have some leverage now with that, which is nice because we didn't at first, and we kind of accepted, all right, I think we're just going to go with it just to get this person. Now I have choices.
Mhm.
I also learned from that viral reel and having a consult with Steph about, okay, this did well. So what should I be doing? How do I sustain this? I didn't even know what to do because as a lawyer, I'm a corporate lawyer. So I've worked with a lot of companies in 23 years that have in the growth period where they're starting to crash for various reasons. And I was like, well, in this industry, I don't want to have that happen, but I don't know this industry that well in this area. And so I had a consult with Steph, and we now had a reel that I created go viral.
I love
Yeah.
this for you, Deborah. It's so good.
Yes. So, yes. Did I miss anything about influencers? Oh, I will say, have a contract with
Yeah.
them. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you need that, Deborah can help you with that.
I can.
But seriously, like the everything that you just shared, I want to go and break down a couple of points. One point that I want to break down that I think is so important for people to hear. Deborah had this influencer come in. This reel happened to go viral, you guys, but that was not the intention. The intention was bring the influencer, spread the brand, spread the visibility. But here's what worked really well in that particular reel from my point of view. It was very clear what Shiny Apple Cabin stood for when it came to having these dog friendly spaces, right? And these dog friendly stays in this area. And this influencer took that and ran with it. And I'm sure, Deborah, there was a lot of like back and forth on that with you and with that particular influencer, because it's very clear what the story is. It's also very clear who the brand is and what you stand for. And and you guys, this was shot on an iPhone. It's not a bunch of professional drone video. It's not a fancy camera. It is shot on an iPhone. It feels like very organic, authentic, genuine content. And that works really well for Deborah's brand, and it worked very well for this influencer's audience as well. And so that's the alignment. And I think, Deborah, that's the like secret sauce that you figured out. Yeah, like influencer marketing, I think this is the thing, and I will always say this as a marketer. Influencer marketing is not always going to be like rainbows and sunshine and you're going to like
Yes.
see all the good things right away. And you experienced that with your first handful that you had. There were a couple
Yes.
of different things that you dealt with. You had to make contract adjustments. I remember one like shared the reel, but then it was like hidden on her feed. It was only shared to the reels feed. And we were like, wait, what? Why? What is happening right now? So, right, like there's always adjustments that you're going to be making. But with this particular one, it just was so clear who their audience was, your audience, what the brand stood for, and that shined through in that, and it took off. So, again, really hear and understand like this has taken Deborah time. I mean, how much time do you think it's taken you? Like 6 months, right? Since you really started working with influencers?
Yeah, we started looking for people in January, like hardcore looking for people in January.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I mean, I'm literally working two full-time jobs. I was before with the cabins because of how much we personally put into them in time. But now that this took off, actually, Steph knows this. I was on a wellness retreat when this thing went viral. I was supposed to be phone off, blah, blah, blah. It was not cheap. It was activities all day. I worked probably 70% of the time because of the response we got from this reel, just happily handling guest communications and trying to also work with the influencer to respond to all the comments to the reel. So it's a lot of time. Even the prep to get a influencer, once you choose them, that's so much time just to figure it out, interviewing them, talking with them, getting the contract ready. All that is a lot of time. But to get ready for an influencer is another bulk of time. All the things that we do to prepare for somebody coming, they're treated as a VIP, and there are very specific things that we do for each influencer and their dogs when they stay. And then we also do, we're in communication while they're there. And then we have a post-stay follow-up approach. It's a communication that we work with them as well. So it's a lot of work, but honestly, I enjoy it very much. The influencers, the way we've learned to work with them, has been very good. And obviously it's been great for the business and the brand.
Well, here's what you've done is you've built a relationship, not just a transaction. And I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that I actually think that this is true for both sides. Influencers can get caught up in the transaction, and so can the short-term rental owners, boutique hotel owners, etc. that I've seen interact with influencers. I'm like, no, 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 there's a process here. And you're right. Like there's the negotiation process, there's the pitch process, the negotiation process, the vetting them the interview process, the having them there, and then the follow-up, right? And that is all necessary for it to work and for it to work in the way that you have seen, which
Yeah,
has been phenomenal. So
it's been
I'm,
great. And we've
yeah.
also learned too that I think you have to teach people if you're going to look for influencers. So to teach them what you are. And the found with quite a few is that a lot of them will approach me and we offer what we offer. And it's some of them it's not enough, which is fine. No transaction's ever going to work out. But the reasons why they don't think it is enough is they just think it's a stay. They don't understand all the investment that goes into it on my time and everything we do. One of the things we do is we reach out to local businesses and we try to partner with them for the influencers to have an experience at that business.
Mm,
They get incentives as long as they do maybe worry about the business, but that takes time. So there's a lot of things that I don't think influencers understand about. They just think they're coming to stay and you're done.
yeah.
And they don't think hours researching what you're doing and trying to find who I thought was perfect. So what value is there, you know?
Hmm.
So I think be very careful about or don't be offended if the influencer starts off with, I don't think this is enough. I don't see the value. I have so much more value than you do. I just move on.
And I love that. And that's great. Like you get to make those decisions as the owner, right? And
Yes.
and I always say that too. We've had some scenarios like that with influencers and I'm like, never mind, we're done.
Yeah.
We will all move on. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Right. But on the
Yeah.
flip side, I will just say on the flip side, we had a very famous person in the dog world, not Cesar Millan, but somebody very famous reach out to us who did come stay. She reached out to me and she did come stay. And, you know, it was a great stay. We're still seeing some work with the content that she posted, but I asked her to come back. I mean, it was such an enjoyable time with her. And even after, we're still messaging. And then we also have had, unrelated as Steph knows, and a person not in the dog industry. She's very successful on social media. She has, I think, 2 dogs. And she said, I will pay whatever, I will do whatever to come stay. And she's going to film while she's at the cabin. And she doesn't know, hopefully she doesn't listen to this. We're working out something for her to surprise her, to thank her for number one, booking. And number two, we're going to get exposure, but it has nothing to do with dogs, but the exposure is going to be phenomenal. But that's what we're seeing now. And that's what Steph is saying is it's the ones that are just straight transactions. It's not what I want. I want people who, you know, want to have some fun, that want to have a relationship. The one that went viral is coming back next weekend. When I have gaps, I ask the people that I worked with that did well or that were a pleasure to work with, even if they didn't do well, because it is a good relationship to come back to try to fill some gaps. So it's 100% the relationship. If it's just transaction, I don't think it's fun. And then also this is a very emotional kind of approach, right?
Mhm.
You're sharing, yes, my business, my brand, but you're sharing your dogs and what they're
Mhm.
doing. And that's your heart. So
Yeah.
if you're just transaction and showing your dog, I don't think your followers are going to feel it either,
Yeah.
right? I
Mhm.
don't think, yeah. Okay.
I totally agree with you. Something for everyone that's listening that I really want you guys to hear because Deborah shared this, but I want to kind of like drill it in. Before Deborah worked with influencers, Deborah had her brand. She had a direct booking website that she built in tandem with a great web partner. And also her email funnels were set up that we helped her put in place.
Mhm.
Those three pieces are absolutely foundational for the success of influencer marketing because Deborah, as a result of working with influencers, also watched her email list grow. And that is
Yeah.
so important because now you have multiple touch points instead of just on social media. You have multiple ways to interact with people. And once they've invited you into their inbox, that's a little bit more personal, right? And so
Yeah.
that's really, really powerful and something that Deborah now has that she can go, oh, we have a last minute opening or oh, we have a cancellation. Let me go email my list who has engaged, who has expressed interest in staying with us because they've opted in. And now she can go and email them. So the other thing that Deborah had set up were her mini chat funnels, and she had that in place as well before influencers came. And that was another important step as well. I always remind people if you have your mini chat funnels in place, those are designed to help take guests from Instagram and get them to your website and get them to your email list. So all of that happened before Deborah ever had an influencer come stay. And
Yes.
I want you guys to really understand that because that's an important piece of this working well in the way that it did for you.
Yeah, it's vital. It's not just important. I don't, if we didn't have those things in place, I don't, it would be, what's the proper way to say it without swearing? It would be a you know what show. Because they help. There's a lot of, like Steph said, there's a lot of components and pieces that, and things that I never thought about that can result from having an influencer stay. And there's a lot of organization. I mean, you are quarterbacking so many different
Mhm.
areas and you can't do them yourself all at once. So if I didn't have all those pieces that Steph taught me about and helped me set up in place, these would have been fails, or not fails in the traditional sense. The successes and the benefits of it, a lot of it would have been lost.
Yeah.
And right, it just would have been lost.
Absolutely. 100% it would have been. Yeah. Yeah. Deborah, you kind of shared this a minute ago, but you have seen a big boom in your direct bookings, obviously. So you said that you're at 80% direct bookings roughly for this year, right?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
double check, but yes, we
Yeah.
are.
That's
It's been
amazing.
amazing.
That's
And we're
amazing.
seeing bookings into November next year already.
That's insane. I know I told you on our last consult, I was like, raise the rates. And Deborah's like, we're good, Steph. I've got the rates down pat. Leave me alone. I'm like,
Yeah, and I will say,
wild.
yeah, that's another good point is so we did obviously supply and demand. So when we started seeing the boom happen with the bookings, we did increase the rates as any other business would do, right?
100%. Yes.
Right.
Hello. Basic economics. Yes.
Yes, basic economics. However, and my husband and I were talking about this the other night. However, we're also mindful that these are families coming. So
Mhm.
do I think I can get higher, even higher rates? Potentially, right?
Yep.
But there's a ethical, I guess, pulse that runs through our family that we're like, we don't want to gouge. We're doing well, and
Yep.
but we don't want to raise the rates to the point where we feel like we're gouging. I want to keep fair rates. Yes, they're higher because the demand. I have a wait list for my cabins. We are doing so well that we are now searching desperately for a third cabin. So if anybody listening is selling a studio or one bedroom in Blue Ridge, Georgia, please reach out.
Deborah would like
Um,
it, please.
yes, please. But to Steph's point, yes, you absolutely, we did raise the rates as the first thing I thought of to do, but not to a point that's gouging. So I
Yeah.
would just be sensitive to that aspect of it because I think a lot of people might try to make everything they could, and we're not after making everything we can. We're after getting the families to come stay, being booked 100%, the direct bookings, and cognizant that these are families. Are we the cheapest out there? Absolutely not. We
Yeah.
are definitely not because of what we offer, and nor should we be given everything we offer and what we do. But we're also not going to be the most expensive for our types of cabins, location, and all that because I just won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's great. I think you're speaking to a few different things. And number one is you know your audience and you know who your target is. And so you are walking that line of like what makes sense from a business perspective, but what also makes sense from a brand and from an our guest perspective. And you always do a great job with that, Deborah. So that's so
Thank
important.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yay. Okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you think is really important for the audience to hear?
I think, well, number one, if you haven't listened to Steph's other podcasts, please do. I listen to them as religiously as possible, honestly, and I always get nuggets from them. And not to sell Steph more, I mean, I honestly 100% can say that our cabins and our brand wouldn't be where it is, and all her teachings and guidance. And Oh,
Oh,
and our website, shinyapplecabins.com.
yes, yes.
And if you have any questions, it's hello@shinyapplecabins.com.
We'll definitely drop that all in the show notes so that you guys can check Deborah out and all the things that they are doing. So we'll include handles and website and email so that you can connect with Deborah because she is great. And Deborah, the other thing I love about you is that you also are very community centered. So like everything you do, you're a connector in a lot of ways. And I love too. We didn't really go into this because this wasn't the purpose of the episode, but something that I think you do that's different than what I hear a lot of hosts doing is going in person to where your people are and getting exposure for your brand that way. And there are not very many people that are willing to do that. And I think that that's something cool that differentiates you too. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
yes.
And I think the other one last thing is that so we also own a private dog park, which we didn't get
Oh
into.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we that is another differentiator. We have a separate, it's a separate property, dog park, and so we offer that to guests as well. And to the community point, we do offer, it's open to the public. It's a $10 per hour fee, or $10 for the first hour. But for community, again, our brand is, hey, if you are a dog rescue in the area, you don't pay for the park. And if you're currently fostering dogs, you don't pay for the park. We also work with local bigger management companies. So if they have disgruntled guests, the management companies have a code to the park that they can give their disgruntled guests, and their guests come free. We also partner with other cabins in the area. They have a code where their guests get 50% off. So we do a lot of partnership with our brand in the community and with other fellow hosts as well. So it's not like a, hey, this is Shiny Apple, it's all for me. And and we share if we're booked and somebody wants to stay, we'll potentially share that lead if we think somebody else could fit and we can't kind of get them to different dates, but we all share questions. But yes, we definitely try to keep it community. And like I said, supporting the local businesses by having the influencers come by has been something that they think it's a lot of fun. They're grateful for, and they get some really good exposure on
Yeah.
these social media accounts from these influencers.
Which is awesome. Yeah, I love that. Yay, Deborah. Well, this was such a great episode. You guys will be sure to link all of Deborah's contact info below so that you can check out everything that they're doing. But thank you so much for taking time to be here with me today. I appreciate you.
Same here, Steph. Thank you so much.